And I got to experience it myself. And then I was like, oh my God, the difference
There is a difference,
is really
right?
worth it.
Today, we're going to talk about things that you should spend more monies on. We talk about saving money, planning for future, but we're going to flip the topic. So we're going to share a bit more on things that we wish we can spend more money on, and hopefully some points resonate with you. Of course, Sumin, let's do a quick introduction for you also.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Sumin here. So you might have seen me before on this channel or maybe on your money game, but nice to see you guys again.
Usually, we chat about money topics, which includes what you should spend on and what you should cut back on. But let's really drill
Yeah.
deeper on what we should spend on. And just to share a bit with audiences listening today, I was actually at Sydney's Personal Finance Festival. Don't know if any of you guys were there also. So in that seminar, some of the questions being asked were how we should split couple finances, joint account, personal account, separate monies and stuff. I also want to get Sumin's point of view. Newlywed, what are your thoughts on sharing monies and budgets?
Yeah. So been married for about close to 7, 8 months already. But I think what we discussed even before marriage, I think was how do we approach finances?
Hmm.
And I think one of the key things that was quite important for us is independence. So we actually decided to be like almost 50-50. Like we do not have a joint account.
Hmm.
The way we decided to approach things is really like if the need arises, we contribute collectively. And I think that's the way we kind of broadly approach things. But then every now and then, because of the 50-50 nature, we don't track lah. So all we do is like, oh, okay, you pay for this one day, I'll pay for another one the next day. And
Could,
that's how
could I could I check
we
also? Is pay
yeah.
roughly the same or there is quite a bit of disparity?
For us, we're both earning roughly similar amounts. So that's why I think we're quite comfortable.
Because when couples are close in terms of pay wise, 50-50 makes a lot of sense. There usually
Mm,
is a lot of friction when one is earning way more than the other, whoever it is, husband or wife, is fine. But usually when there is a big disparity, or after 5-10 years, there's a big promotion, and then the pay becomes different. That's where
that's right.
friction starts to happen because previously 50-50, we are drawing roughly the same. But now I can't cope with 50-50. I do need to chip in a bit more. So these are situations, very interestingly, that causes friction. What you start off with
Yeah.
may be not what can last for 20 years. We need to evolve it. So that's a interesting thing I brought up also.
No, that's a great point. And maybe just to reiterate the point, I think it's about understanding each other's values. I think what again between me and my wife, what's important to us is we value the independence, and we are very comfortable with that kind of arrangement. So if a couple is thinking about like how do you approach this, the 50-50 is the output, but what is the
Mm.
value that is driving it? That's the question. Yeah.
Fully agree. Fully. But why not set up a joint account? Curious also. Because it's something that
Lazy.
I advocate. So it will be a matter of time. Could I guess? Like when one fine day.
Maybe. To me, what is a joint account? A joint account is an agreed this is the account that manages both parties' money for the family, for the
Mm.
house, and for any joint expense. That's the understanding of what a joint account is. We have an account that it actually is my bank account or an extra bank account that's sitting there. In the event that we need it, we put money in there and use it sometimes. It's not like there's a pre-agreement that we both fund it, like
Mm.
say $500 every month or whatever. There's no arrangement like that.
Would you consider one? Because I do think there are merits. For example, if one half, I know you like investments and stuff. If the other half is not interested in investments, very often we'll see that one is underinvested. And a joint account can
Mm,
help in that sense because you funnel money towards there. And if there's surplus, the person that's keen on finance, go and get it invested for the couple, for the family. Do you
yeah.
see merits in such an argument?
Actually, that's a great point. I think if your context of being a couple is like that, where
Mm.
one party isn't as into it, and then obviously you're managing a joint finances moving forward to the future. I suppose in my case, because my wife is also investing,
Mm.
I not as active as me, but at least she does have her own approach. So I think that's why maybe we're quite okay. But
Mm.
yeah, but that's a great reason to create a joint account.
Mm. So as always, when you're listening in, if you have your own experiences or your own suggestions, do leave in comment sections, and we'll dive on to today's key topic, which is things that is worth spending more monies on. So, what
Yeah.
would be your first point if someone were to ask you this question?
Let's start light and a simple one for me. I think when I was first moved into a rental over here when I moved to Singapore, right? A bit kiam siap, ah. So I wanted to save money. So I bought like simple broom, mop, typical to clean your house. And it took me a long time to be persuaded to upgrade to something. And what I bought was this thing. It's a two-in-one. It's a vacuum and a mop. This is a very auntie thing, but oh my god, do you know how much time it saves me? So it costs more money. It costs about $500, I think, for that one unit, but it shaves off nearly half the amount of time. And I think investing in a device that helps you do that, you might be very how you say hesitant at first because it's so much more than a broom and a mop, but it makes a huge difference.
What about a robo cleaner? They're getting very popular these days. A lot
The
of brands offer
automatic,
robo cleaner. Yes, correct.
yeah. We have one as well, but that's just for general maintenance. Okay, maybe for me, I don't trust the robo cleaner yet at this stage. Like, how clean can it get it? So, but since I already have the two-in-one vacuum mop thing, I don't need the vacuum the robo.
For myself, I actually bought a cheap robo cleaner. And what happened is that robo cleaner, they have sensors. And we rely on the smartness of that sensors part. So long story short, that lousy brand that I bought didn't do a very good job. Cannot return back to the base. Gets lost, gets tracked very easily. So on hindsight, I've heard friends who mention good things about Xiaomi's robo cleaner, the higher end 400-500 ones, but they do the job. So you buy a half price one, but it doesn't do a job. You spend more effort. And what I hear from me, maybe the device is effective in saving time. So getting something good to clean the house, maybe for my first point, it could probably be in holidays. It's not being extravagant, not going to fancy places too much, but spending time and going to places, creating memories. That's one thing that really would be the first in my mind. If I could, be telling myself when I was younger, hey, spend a bit more time and money. Don't stinge too much. Some experiences you won't have that luxury of traveling back in time to do again. And quoting from a professor who once mentioned something that was very interesting to me, is that when we invest money and time on experiences, we become more thankful to how our lives are transiting. We become more grateful to our family members who went with us on holiday. So I think that money is well spent. You don't need to sleep in the best hotels, but you can definitely spend a bit more to fly somewhere different, create that memory.
I 100% agree. And I think to share a personal regret. So again, it's something that we tend to take for granted because in the moment, sometimes you are, let's say you're traveling on a budget and then you're thinking to yourself, oh, maybe I should hold my purse a little tighter because as you're maybe an early part of the holiday, you don't want to overspend on something. So when the opportunity came up for me to do, I was in Turkey at the time, to try and do a kind of an aerial glide experience thing, I decided not to because there's a few $100 and I was like, maybe I should save first. But you know what? I came back and I asked myself, like, hey, when's the next time I'm going to go to Turkey? And I really slapped myself thinking, like, yeah, why did I choose to save on that?
I also went to Turkey. I skipped the hot air balloon experience because it's quite expensive. Yeah, and I totally understand that portion of regret. If you stinge on that, then you might not ever have that opportunity to go back to that place to do that event. Maybe that money will be well spent to create that memory. You can save and eat simpler food, but when it comes to the time of spending the money to get that experience, maybe it's really worth it. So Sumin, what would be your second point as to what you would think would be worth spending more money on?
So this one, it goes back to devices and a little bit more personal. I feel that one of the things that has helped me the most is basically learning how to cook and spending on a good kitchen appliance. And I think this is where like my own personal oven, I actually lugged it from KL because I was using it. I bought it in KL and it was so good, and I brought it all the way to Singapore. And I've been using it for more than 10 years. And it's a solid oven. And I think learning how to cook and preparing your own meals over time has saved me not maybe not a whole lot of money, but has it really like given me the chance to improve my health, eat the right quality ingredients, and of course make your loved ones happy as well. I mean, I'm the chef in the house. Sometimes I do a lot of meal preparation for myself and my wife. So it really pays off in a lot of good ways. So spending a little bit on the skill, but maybe a good appliance really does really does help.
Do you do the washing or not? Or you just do the cooking?
Oh no, that's fine. So we divide equally, but I think cooking more effort lah. But that's my opinion lah.
Nowadays, there are high-end cooking appliances. Because I have young kids, I've also heard of auto cooker or some it's a few
Yeah,
$1,000s and they can auto prep.
I
Those are the
can't remember
super
the
high
name,
ends
but I
one.
know what you're talking about. It's like
Correct,
you push
right?
a button and it does the job. Yeah,
Ah,
maybe if that's like the kind of thing that helps you, right? Maybe it's worth it.
for busy parents, I think that money spent could be worth it. Then you can save on
Yeah,
eating outside food, and over time you net be able to pay off that expensive equipment. And I guess these
exactly.
equipments they will become cheaper and cheaper with competition coming in. So maybe
No,
one day we'll all
absolutely.
adopt a meal prep machine. My second point will be how about a good mattress? I think this is something that I'm very grateful for. I bought mine like 12 years ago, something like that. It cost $4,000. So I'm sure that this same model will be $8,000 with inflation right now. Choosing mattress for my kids, I also buy good ones. They last, that's the
Yeah,
first thing, and you sleep well. Good sleep is the foundation of everything, including health. So spending on
yeah,
mattress, don't stinge and get the lower end ones. Mine is in Serta, so I have everything good to say about that brand. And I've also
yeah.
seen on the main channel because I did a video on buy now pay later. Someone mentioned that he bought his bed, which is $10,000. Maybe that's a good one also. Yeah, $10,000 bed, and he did a buy now pay later. He could afford it, but he wanted to split up that to clock points and stuff. So I think right now good beds cost around that amount, 8,000, 10,000. But if they can last for
Yeah,
10 years, I would
yeah,
suggest for anyone listening in to spend that on. What are your thoughts on a
yeah.
good mattress?
I think that's another one where I'll be honest, I was not a believer. I think for me, coming from humble background, like the idea of spending
Mm.
that much money on a mattress is very foreign. Like my parents would never do that. So when I first heard about these expensive mattresses, very hesitant. And my sleep, I guess, was okay lah. So the question in my head is always like, how much better can it get? Is it worth that much money? And I again was very fortunate that I actually inherited a really expensive mattress from a friend that was moving overseas. And I got to experience it myself. And then I was like, oh
Oh,
my God, the difference
there is a
is
difference,
really
right?
worth it. There is a difference. And I don't know how big a difference are. Do I need 10,000 or do I spend 4,000? I'm not sure. I'm not an expert. But the quality can really make a difference.
I think we're not advocating for everyone to buy a $10,000 mattress, but also don't
Correct.
buy the cheap few $100 ones. Those won't last. And after a
Yeah.
year, if it starts to sink in, then your sleep is getting awful. A good mattress
Mhm.
can last 10 years, and mine is still 12 years and it's still fantastic. So if you
Yeah.
amortize that cost, and a lot of people always say you spend 7 hours, 8 hours on bed, you might as well spend a lot of money and get a good quality one that you can divide out like, per hour rate kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah, you can do the math that way, then you justify it in your head. It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
What will be a next point of spending more money on worthwhile?
This one is another one of those cases where it's like you will ask yourself, how much better can it get?
Mm.
Because the alternative is cheaper. So I think at one point when COVID happened, I stopped going to the gym. So at that point in time, I was rationalizing my head, okay, like, I don't need the equipment. It was difficult to make bookings, to go to the actual outlet and all that kind of thing. So I decided, okay, I'm just gonna DIY like because I roughly know how to work out. And what I realized is that after a prolonged time, I was generally okay. I felt relatively fit enough, but I wasn't seeing the results. And again, for me, the concept of paying for a workout program was very foreign. So this is where I decided, okay, let's give it a go. Of course, read reviews, look for the right things. I don't know if you can see the rings over
Oh
here above
yeah.
me. So these are Olympic rings. It's not the rings itself that's special. It's just a simple tool. But the program that I decided to invest in, it actually made a difference because one, it structures everything. Previously I was just DIY lah, like whatever, like no discipline, no real structure. So if you're like me, maybe very bad at managing that, having the program, you pay a bit of money, it gives you the structure, it tells you what to do, so you actually don't need to think so hard. You just need to follow the path.
Also, it's
Correct.
not someone that comes to do a personal training one to one, telling you should do 20
No,
reps of this, 30 reps of that.
it's basically a company online. I just to name drop like they're called Cali Move. So they do calisthenics work. So for me, I was like, I never bought an online program before. So like the question is, hey, how good can it be? Should I pay money for this kind of thing? And I said, okay, let's bite the bullet. Let's
Mm.
try it out. A couple $100. But you know what? It is serving me well. Again, it gives me structure. It gives me consistent. I'm providing the consistency, but I'm seeing the much better results than doing it DIY.
So the bars over there, so you actually do gymnastic kind of moves.
Yeah. I
Wow.
mean, it's on the way, slowly.
Maybe we should have gotten you to dabble. Then the whole discussion will be
Yeah.
about gymnastics already.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's money that I never had spent before
Mm.
on this category. Like buying online courses with, I mean, like fitness course online, like, is it really, does it make sense? Like, again, very foreign for me at that point. But if it felt like, okay, finally I decided to do it, and turns out it's worth it.
Speaking of online things, maybe my third point on what you can spend worthwhile to spend more money is actually on furniture. Because some people they buy from Taobao, they get furniture online, transported in. I've seen
Mm,
that. Good reviews, bad reviews. But maybe furniture is also something worthwhile to spend more money on. If you have some comfort in finding things online, go ahead and do so. But for myself, I actually sourced it from JB. So actually, that was a good experience. The prices there are half the price, as you can guess. You do need to pay for
mm,
transport, you do pay for taxes, but you can see and touch the quality first versus buying online, whereby you are just buying on faith. So going to JB, I
mm,
actually have a name to drop also, Soon Lee Ann Furniture. I went there to buy, so I'm happy enough to suggest it for you. I bought my coffee table over there, my dining table over there. It's all good quality wood, and after 6 years, it's still holding up very well. So that's something I think is worthwhile to spend in terms of your house
mm.
wise. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
furniture, or how do
Look,
you choose your furniture?
so maybe I got a question. Like, do you think that when you spend a little bit more on good quality furniture, besides durability,
Hmm.
do you feel that it give this, like this thing that you bought, it has given you anything else?
I'm not too much in the looks. All right, I think looks
Mm,
it really depends on person, but I think the quality really matters. How long it would last. Of course, coffee table and stuff, lower quality ones, we can expect them to start having damages, color deteriorating and stuff. And for things that are hanging on the wall, my first home I actually had installations of cupboards from IKEA. Not to
mm,
say all IKEA things are not good, but I underplanned the screws or something like that, and in the end,
mm.
it wasn't as
Solid.
good. And after a while, you can see the wood starting to sink. For
Mm,
anyone
yeah,
who has furniture for years, you kind of understand. No wood tends to sink in if they're not good
yeah,
quality. So having
that's
something
true.
that's good quality can last.
I think since you not IKEA, I'll add one IKEA point, but more so from in investing in furniture for my parents that I normally would not have bought, and it's
Mm,
one of those like reclining chairs that IKEA
mm,
had. So I think it's one of those things where, again, like coming from humble background, it's like, hey, why you need such a special chair? Chair is a chair, lah, right? But it's, I mean, it's not super expensive, but it's money that, again, previously had not paid for something like this. So again, is this going to be a better experience than a regular chair that we already have at home? And investing in it, I can see my parents happy. They enjoy the chair. They spend a lot of time there. Okay, good. It's so the value is a different kind of value, lah.
Lifestyle inflation. And next time you give them a
Yeah,
OSIM chair, then they'll,
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
feel that is even better.
yeah.
Hey, but maybe anyone listening in, do you have a good quality massage chair at home or not? I do see it quite often when I visit families and homes. Some swear by it. After a long day's work, coming back to that massage chair which costs $5,000 is worth it. So that one I don't know. But for myself, yeah, I don't have it at home, so I'm not a fan of getting the expensive chairs. But would like to hear different views also on that point.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Same here. I was always skeptical about those chairs. Uh, yeah. So I've got another one to share. I think right now we always talk about like, oh, like where do you go for date nights? I
Mm,
mean, as a relatively young married guy, right? Because you go out for meals, that's become normal already.
mm,
But I think spending more on interesting experiences is something that I'm very happy that we're doing. A couple of long weekends ago, we went to Pulau Ubin
mm.
to do camping. Again, it's not expensive actually; it's quite cheap. But the investment is on the tent, the cooking material, all
It's
these small
rented.
things.
There's a place to rent.
Yeah, I said you need to apply for permit. But so it's free. The permit is free, but the camp, the gear, the tent, the cooking stove, this kind of stuff is the cost. So spending on experiences like that. And then recently we've been going on a lot of My Community tours. So shout out to this group called My Community. They're NGO. I think they are doing a really good job preserving stories around Singapore. And some of the experiences are paid, some are free, but they're very good. I say in terms of a way to spend time with your loved ones, learn interesting things around you. And I feel that it's not to say that you don't eat out nice, but spending money in this way is a better way, I think, to get more interesting experiences.
Understand. If I were to think of a new point, how about spending monies on cars or cab rides? Maybe cars sometimes we've discussed don't spend monies on cars unnecessarily. Those are usually if you are trying to look fancy and stuff. But for certain segments, for myself in particular, time is very important. So having cars or doing cab rides, not unnecessarily, those are methods to effectively get back time. So that's something that I think is also worth spending or increasing. I'm seeing myself spend. Previously, I used to skip orders, park somewhere very far, which is cheap, and walk 15 minutes. But increasingly, I'm parking at the place just to save that 15 minutes because I'm at a different stage in life already, moving forward. So I've also seen people take cab rides because they are late for work. That's not the right approach. It's only if you are, using that time effectively, and that money spent is buying you back time. They can spend your family, or you can spend, producing more work. Then in that sense, that is money well spent. Or increasing, I would suggest for anyone building the careers to spend more in that sense.
Actually, it's so true. I mean, I'm the kind of person that generally will not spend on Grab. Like in principle, because I feel that I manage my time well enough, so I am okay with it. But you're right, where it's obviously when it's needed, when I needed to get to a place, it saves me time taking a Grab rather than public transport. Then I would make different type of decisions. But I do know a lot of my younger colleagues that would just take Grab because it's convenient. And I mean, it's their choice. Their money, their choice.
I think it's how they spend the time safe. If they are using the time to play games, then you are effectively spending money to play games. But I guess if you see big bosses and stuff, they go for back-to-back meetings. And getting there on time, getting there ready, settled, makes all the difference. You can do a business deal and it pays more than pays for that cab ride itself. Then I've also seen before suggestions on Seedly that you need to earn $8,000+ before you start buying a car. It's a wild number to throw out. Maybe I can justify why it's done that way. Because we have this 50-30-20 rule, whereby you should keep your expenses at 50% because you want to save 20% at least, right? Which means also a car being so expensive, $2,000 a month net with all the petrol costs, road tax, etc., maintenance included, you would work out backwards that you would need like 8,000+ to comfortably afford a basic model of car. So I think there's some food for thought for everyone listening in. Of course, everybody has different needs for the car. Some need for ferrying older parents or young kids around, but also be very prudent in using this and use the time wisely. A last point maybe, Sumin, in terms of what we should spend more monies on.
So this is one where everything I've shared before is stuff that I've personally experienced. This one I have not yet, but I'm thinking of trying. So I read a very interesting perspective about how to network more effectively, but also not just to network from you want to gain something, but to network to see other people's perspectives, to learn from other people, and to spend money taking people out for coffee. So imagine if you created a budget, say just every month, like a couple $100 to take people out, go and have a coffee with somebody interesting. Whether it's a colleague that you find interesting, a friend of yours that's working on a project, or reaching out to somebody who could potentially be a mentor for you and buy them coffee. And the 30 minutes to 1 hour, and then I don't know how much money you would spend on a coffee, not that much. I think it's an interesting way of to experiment. We're trying to learn new things, network, hopefully, and then maybe you come out getting more value than just a nice afternoon out.
I actually agree. If you set aside a budget, say $50, you need to meet 2 people in that month, then naturally you'll be at the top of your mind. If not, most of us, we are comfortable at home or in office, and we will never find that time and make that effort to meet someone. But if you have a budget, I want to expand my network, call someone out with no agenda. Because I have this $50 budget, I want to spend making friends. I think that's a very interesting perspective. At top of your mind, you have that budget, you will spend it. Maybe this rounds up, our key discussion for today. It seems that there are a few key areas as to where you spend money on, you get a lot of good returns. It can be in self-improvement, like, networking. You spend that $50 actively to meet someone different, or you spend that money to upgrade yourself or to buy the right bed, something we mentioned just now. So this is spending on self-care and self-improvement. Or you can spend money on experiences. We've mentioned about traveling. Spending that money to see and do an activity overseas would bring a lot of memories that are, intangible. So this will be our big rounding point. So as always, if you have other ideas and suggestions, leave them in the comment sections. And if you like discussions like this, check out our previous video, Worst Mistakes to Avoid in Your 20s. We also shared some very interesting point of views over there. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening in, and we'll see you in the next one.